bacteria being present, there's predation, there's possibly interference from who knows what junk is in wastewater, right? So we thought it would be good to be able to grow the algae in the wastewater using only the things we need. Basically, those are the water, the nutrients, some carbon dioxide filtration, but keep everything else out, right? So only take the good, keep out the bad. So we came up with this idea, basically, we're using membranes to basically separate them. So we came up with an acronym called ICARUS, which is Isolated Cultivation of Algal Resource Using Sewage. So I'll say that again. Isolated Cultivation of Algal Resource Utilizing Sewage. So ICARUS, right? And if you know anything about ICARUS, his father made him wings, he flew too close to the sun, he crashed and burned. So hopefully that won't happen to us. But so the idea is that we're going to create this isolated environment that's favorable for the algae. We can grow the algae in there by themselves, but they're protected from everything else within the wastewater, including bacteria, which might compete with them. There might be predation and other things. But then the nutrients get to move freely in and out of the process. Here are some examples of the Tampa wastewater treatment plant where we might put these basically pods in there to test. So the question is, well, can this work, right? Some preliminary tests we've done in the lab shows that, for example, if this is a growth curve of algae that's as it is, suspended by itself, normally the curve might look like this. But if you use the ICARUS process, protected with the membrane, you can get much higher yield in that.
Is that mostly because you're getting more sunlight for the algae?
No, the amount of sunlight is the same, but the difference is that it's basically nutrients is delivered in a controlled manner. So we basically we have a grant with the National Science Foundation. The reviewers like the idea, so we're basically looking at the science behind it now in terms of what's the best type of membrane and how do things move across the membrane and so forth. So this is basically a mock-up, a laboratory system that Ivy built to examine this process, and these are basically little pods. And the reason we do these little pods is because in the laboratory we need a lot of replicates on a small scale. We can study these phenomena. And on the bottom of this is a little membrane that would look something like this. It looks like a cellophane film, but in fact nutrients can move freely across. So, and she basically has a flow-through system and with real wastewater and how it grows in there. And then so now the next part is going to the field. So we thought the best thing to use is these canning jars to put a membrane across, and this becomes a very robust system. You can get bang around in the wastewater treatment plant, and we basically can have the array of samples with algae in them that we can test in the field. So we're kind of excited. We're hoping that we'll get some very positive results out of that.